Hey, what is happening, you bowl cut having Bonsley? So we've got some fully revealed cards from the new Scarlet and Violet base set coming up in January, February. I'm not sure when we're getting the cards, or they should be getting them in Japan a little bit sooner than us. But we've finally got some fully revealed cards, so we know what some of the new EX cards will be doing. And there's a new mechanic in the game, very similar to the ancient trait abilities or ancient traits that used to be on cards quite a while ago. And if you know me, I loved ancient traits, so I'm excited to see this back in the game. So go ahead and take a look at these cards. I'll let you guys know what I think about them. Let's get into it. So with the new Scarlet and Violet sets, we're going to be getting EX Pokemon. And the way they kind of differ as multi-prize Pokemon from VMAXs and V-Stars is they don't actually evolve from multi-prize Pokemon. So this Arcanine EX, which is the first EX we're going to be taking a look at here, evolves from a Growlithe, which is a basic one-prize Pokemon, unlike something like an Arceus V-Star evolves from an Arceus V. So it's going to be the first real big change, or it's going to be the big change when we move from V Pokemon to EX Pokemon, or one of them. And the ancient trait or ability or whatever it's called that I was kind of mentioning, the Terastal that is on some of these EX Pokemon, and it could be on other Pokemon too, I guess we don't know for sure yet, is like an added effect that the Pokemon has on it. If you guys know what ancient traits were, they were very similar to this, where it was just like a certain extra effect that the Pokemon kind of had. And this one on the Arcanine says that this Pokemon doesn't take any damage from attacks while on the bench. So if your Arcanine EX is on the bench, you're not taking any damage from something like a Radiant Greninja or anything like that. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to judge the power level of these EX Pokemon until we see more of them. I guess you can always kind of judge them up against the current V-Star or the V Pokemon in the current format and what's kind of good right now. So Arcanine 280 HP, similar to a lot of the V-Star Pokemon in the current format. And then its attacks for 2 Fire, Raging Claws, 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And then for Fire, Bright Flame, 250 damage, and discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So 250 plus a Choice Belt is 280. You're KOing most other V-Star Pokemon in the format. Not quite all the other EXs though, but that is a lot of energy. 3 Fire Energy, pretty tough to get the triple Fire Energy onto a Pokemon currently. I mean, we got Magma Basin, I guess, but with a Choice Belt on there, being able to KO other V Pokemon, it could be worth the trade-off. So we'll see how good this ends up being. Like I said, a little bit hard to judge how good some of these cards are going to be. We don't know what the other EXs fully look like, and we have no idea what else is in the set fully as well. Magnezone EX, so similar to, you know, the Arcanine, it's going to evolve up from non-multi-prize Pokemon. I don't know if there's the Magnemite and Magneton in here actually to take a look at. I don't think so. We can look at the Ampharos, and that'll be a good indication, or we can take a look at that, and that'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But yeah, you're going to evolve up the Magnezone from a Magnemite into a Magneton, or Rare Candy your Magnemite into Magnezone, and it's got 330 HP, so similar HP numbers to VMAX Pokemon. And that's the trade-off of becoming a stage 2 Pokemon. So to get to the stage 2, the trade-off is a lot more HP. So even something like an Arcanine with a Choice Belt isn't going to quite one-hit KO. And it's got the attacks Energy Crush for lightning. The attack does 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. A little bit on your opponent there. And then Lightning Pulse Launcher for 220. This Pokemon also does 30 damage to itself. So bring it down to around 300 HP for 220 for 2 Lightning. Doesn't seem great, to be honest. Of course, if there's a lot of decks in the format that are putting a ton of energy in play on their side of the field, the Energy Crush is pretty solid for just 1 of Lightning to be able to do potentially, you know, 300 damage if they got like 6 energy in play. The next EX is the Miraidon EX, the Tandem Unit ability, which is a super powerful ability. Once on your turn, you may search your deck for 2 basic Lightning Pokemon, put them onto your bench. So as far as I can tell, you could use Tandem Unit to get another Miraidon, and then to get another Pokemon, and then use that Miraidon to get 2 more Lightning Pokemon. And then as long as you opened with a Pokemon for your turn, which you have to do, you'll have a bench full of Lightning Pokemon on turn 1 from like 1 Quick Ball or 1 Ultra Ball immediately. Of course, you will have 2 Miraidons on your bench as well, which isn't the greatest attacker, to be honest. For Lightning Colors, you're doing 220, and then during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack, and you only have 220 HP. So to be honest, it's cool for the setup initially, but I don't know if you're going to be wanting to put 2 Miraidons on your bench off the rip. Putting 1 down to set up 2 Pokemon may be worth it, but chaining out Miraidons, probably not worth it. Up next, we got the Corridon EX with a Dino Cry. Once during your turn, you may attach 2 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your basic fighting Pokemon in any way you like, but if you use the ability, your turn ends. That's what I thought this ability did at first as well on the Miraidon, but your turn doesn't end with this one. Your turn does end with the Corridon, And I don't know, on turn 1, I guess that could make it worth it, but it does come from the discard pile, which I think makes things a little bit awkward. So not only are you going to have to get this out turn 1 with another Pokemon you're going to want to put 2 basic fighting energy on, you also have to get 2 basic fighting energy into your discard pile. So to be honest, this card does not seem that good. Wild Impact attack, 220 for fighting colorless, and during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So the exact same attack, but for fighting colorless instead of lightning colorless. And the ability, like I said, decent turn 1, but you do have to work quite a bit for it. You have to get this in play, you have to get another Pokemon in play that you want to put the energy on, and then you probably have to have another Pokemon in play in the active spot, because you don't probably want to attach to you don't want the Pokemon that you're attaching the energy to be in your active spot. I guess you could have this in your active spot, but then it's a 2-prizer in your active spot that your opponent can kind of knock out and get 2 prize cards off of, and you have to get the 2 basic fighting energy into your discard pile. So I'm not sold on either of these cards being great, to be honest, but these are definitely solid, I guess, abilities that could see some play throughout their existence in the standard format. Up next, we got some reprints, kind of confirming what the suspicions we currently had was. Professor's Research seems to be a card that the creators of the game want to keep around in the game as kind of a constant Tier S draw supporter. Professor's Research is reprinted once again with Taro and Sada. I don't know if I pronounced this correctly. I tried. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. Nothing new there. And also an Ultra Ball reprint. I'm a little bit sad about the Professor's Research reprint. I think it would be nice to have some formats here and there without Professor's Research. But it does kind of seem like the creators of the game want this to be kind of a constant factor in the game, kind of baseline for draw support that they can kind of create other cards around. So if it does help them create a more balanced and interactive and kind of fun game overall by having kind of a baseline draw supporter to work with constantly, I guess it's not going to be the worst thing ever, but hopefully that does lead to an enjoyable game experience while having this supporter in the format, which does seem a little overwhelming sometimes, or a little bit repetitive and boring when you enter formats where it's just like turn 1 research, turn 2 research, turn 3 research, and you and your opponent are both doing the same thing every single turn as far as draw supporter goes. That can be a little bit redundant and annoying. Ultra Ball reprinted as well. Like I said, this one I'm a little bit less I dislike this one a little bit less. Ultra Ball has always felt like a fine card to have in formats, and it does require, quite the cost of, discarding 2 cards from your hand, so it does make you think and have to choose between resources to keep and get rid of, and it is just a really good consistency card to always keep the game flowing. Beach Court, the retreat cost of each player's basic Pokemon is a colorless less, so an interesting stadium card there. Might see some play. Lucario EX got the low kick for fighting colorless for 60, and then for fighting colorless, Aura Sphere 160. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So 160, 50 to a bench with 260 HP. Does not seem great. Doesn't seem really like it really keeps up or stands up to the current standards of Pokemon in the current format. Now, some of these EX cards might not be great until like a rotation away from now. I guess that is possible. Once kind of the V-Stars and the V-Maxes have been rotated out of the format, that's when we might see some of these EX Pokemon shine. I kind of doubt that's going to be the case, and there's probably some more powerful EX cards that will be coming out of this first initial set that will have the kind of takeover potential that we've seen a lot of the EXs have, or a lot of V-Stars and V-Maxes have as they've been released. Up next, you got the Ampharos EX. So it is the stage 2. Once again, you have to evolve it from your Mareep to your Flaffy, or Candy your Mareep into the Ampharos EX. Elec Ball for 60 damage for lightning, and then lightning colorless. We got the lightning tail for 140 plus 100 more if you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. So you can just hit for 140, or you can hit for 240, get a choice spell involved, that's 270. Once again, you're not really hitting the high HPs of other stage 2 EX Pokemon, which is cool to see that it does seem like once you get out these stage 2 EX Pokemon, unless you're getting hit for weakness, they are going to be surviving a hit or 2 potentially. So that's really cool to see some not every Pokemon just going down instantly as you set them up. So I'm definitely excited to see how that kind of works out when the EXs kind of fully take over the format, like a rotation or 2 from now. We're a little ways away from that happening, but I'm excited even for that far into the future. And then 240, a little bit short on any big numbers. You're not getting to the 280 number of a lot of the V-Star Pokemon, or even something like the Arcanine EX. And even with the choice belt, you're only getting up to 270. So once again, Ampharos doesn't seem that strong. So none of the EX Pokemon really seem that strong overall when you compare them to what we're currently working with in the current standard format. And a lot of the cards that we are currently working with in the standard format will still be playable when these EX Pokemon do drop. So it does seem like maybe we will be waiting a set or 2 for the EXs to kind of start to see high-level play in the standard format. Mimikyu EX, Void Return for a Psychic, 30 damage. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. And then for Psychic Colorless, 30 damage. This attack does 30 damage for each energy attached to your opponent's, to both active Pokemon, excuse me. So doing 90 on your side at the very least. It does have the double colorless energy cost though, so double turbo potentially getting involved there, but then 30 more for each energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. Once again, doesn't seem super powerful or anything too ridiculous. Maybe a cute tech card for a certain matchup. And then the final EX card we're going to take a look at here is Cyclizar EX, 210 HP. Power run for a colorless 3DM. Search your deck for a basic energy card and attach it to this Pokemon. Once again, attacks that kind of search your deck for energy or your discard pile for energy and attach them to yourself are usually never that good because you're kind of doing that and then you're probably getting knocked out on the next turn. And it's got full throttle for 180. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. For colorless. Once again, nothing super powerful. Nothing that it seems is going to take over the current top V Maxes and V Stars in the format. So when the set drops, we'll be alongside rotation, so we will lose some of our V Stars and V Maxes, but it really doesn't seem like any of these cards are actually going to be able to keep up with the current power level in the game that's happening right now. Now, this is probably not all the EX cards that we will be seeing out of the Scarlet and Violet sets, and this is not even a bad thing as well if there really isn't anything that can compete with those cards, because it doesn't mean they're maybe trying to bring the power level of the game a little bit down, as the EXs will take over the format eventually with rotation. So we might be waiting a little while until EXs fully take over the format, but that might be for the best, because that means if they are bringing the power level of the cards down a little bit, so not everything is just one-hit KOing everything else every single turn, and then we end up in formats where, you know, things are getting 2-hit KO'd, even 3-hit KO'd, could be better for the health of the game and the format and the game in general. So I'm excited for EXs. These ones are all a little bit underwhelming. Also, nothing really cool or interesting. No really cool cards with a bunch of different effects that seem really interesting and cool on them. So hopefully those are still to come. Either more leaks when we get more leaks from the set, or more cards revealed from this set, or just the future sets in general. The one thing I am excited for, of course, is the Terastal. I don't know, what do you call it? The Terastal effects that are going to be on cards. Just like I mentioned, just like the ancient traits, there was a bunch of different ancient traits that had different effects. You could attach like 2 tools to, like, there was a Gyarados set where you could attach double tools. There was the Groudon that said it can't be affected by your opponent's supporter card. So hopefully we see a bunch of different terrestrial effects on Pokemon, and hopefully they really try and do a lot with that, and we see that be really impactful on cards, having that extra effect that you can kind of work with to give cards a little bit more depth. And that's going to do it for my thoughts on the first revealed EX cards. Let me know what you guys think about the EXs so far. Are you excited for Scarlet and Violet as much as I am? I'm definitely excited for it. I'm definitely excited to see some more reveals, though. These definitely left me wanting more. These didn't really satisfy my didn't really satisfy me that much, to be honest. A lot of these cards were seemed a little bit meh, a little bit lackluster, kind of a little bit lackluster, kind of like what we've already been seeing for a little while. I'm excited for Stage 2 EXs to come back. That is very cool at the very least, and we are evolving from being able to evolve from a non-2 prize Pokemon is also super sick, because that gives you so much more control over your field. Instead of having, you know, a bunch of like Arceus V's in play that your opponent can constantly pick off for 2 prize knockouts, you can have like an Arcanine EX setup that your opponent can't quite KO, and then a bunch of Growlithe on your bench. Like, okay, if you want to go boss, take a 1 prize knockout, or Gust up and take a 1 prize knockout, that's fine. Then I'm going to be able to evolve those whenever I want, and, you know, not just have a bunch of weak 2 prize threats on my, or 2 prize liabilities on my board. So I'm excited for that kind of gameplay to return to the Pokemon TCG. All right, that's going to do it. So all my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Catch you on the next one. Peace.